And from Westminster, the Labour MP, Tom Watson. Is this the establishment or just dirty bankers, dirty politicians, nothing to do with the establishment? Tom Watson.
Well, I think there's too much wealth and power in too few hands in this country, and one of the things I think Ed Miliband would have to address if he became Prime Minister is how do we rebuild trust in public institutions like Parliament and newspapers and the police, who have been rocked by scandals in recent years. So it's a very important policy problem that I think we've all got to contend with in years to come.
But what you describe is something which is sustained under successive Tory, Labour, coalition governments. It doesn't seem to matter who's in charge anywhere. The establishment goes on forever.
Well, I think one of the distinguishing characteristics of Ed Miliband actually is that he acknowledges that the past, we cannot go on like we did in the past. You know, the approach to state intervention, and the way we regulate markets, the way we deal with privatised industry. There's a new approach to that, and I think that's, you know, for many people in my party, it's not come soon enough. We need to make sure that we distribute wealth and power more diversely across the nation.
But we may be mystifying our viewers. Are you in the establishment? Am I?
Well, that's for your viewers to judge, isn't it, John? And you know, and it's for you to. You might want to self-define, but you know, let's not. I mean, what we're addressing today is serious issues to do with the credibility of Parliament, and one of the things that I think we need to address is politicians who are not ministers, ministers have a very stringent code to adhere to. There are people in very sensitive strategic positions that members of the Intelligence Committee see information that most ministers don't see.
Well, I'll come back to that in a moment, but I just want to clear up this question of the establishment. Iain Anderson, do you lobby the establishment?
I suppose I do. I mean,
are you of it?
I'm certainly not of the establishment, but I suppose we've all got to know very well the establishment.
Am I?
I suppose we all become part of the establishment. This world that the rest of the country looks in on, and I think when you see events like today, particularly what we're about to see from dispatches tonight, people look on with absolute incredulity.
But doesn't doesn't this establishment enable you to do, as a lobbyist, more or less whatever you want?
Well, I wish that was the case, John, but I mean, the point I'd want to make is that this is another lobbying story where there are no lobbyists to be seen. And, you know, as Tom was just touching on there, you know, this government has introduced a lobbying act that frankly wouldn't have prevented any of this activity. It's a total and utter sham. And I hope the next government does something about it.
The lobbyist could, under similar circumstances, undoubtedly have brought these two parties together. Well, that's your job. Well, why otherwise are you in business?
And it's certainly not my job. I chair the Association of Professional Political Consultants. There is no payment to MPs, no payment to peers. If you do that, you can't be a member of my organisation, and we utterly condemn it.
Well, Tom Watson, you're in the clear. There's no problem here. We've got a lobbyist here who never pays an MP.
Well, ironically, I do have some sympathy for Iain's position there. I mean, the industry, after successive investigative journalist cases have exposed wrongdoing in the industry, have sort of cleaned up their act. They have got this code of conduct, and it appears to be people masquerading as lobbyists that have exposed MPs rather than actually lobbyists.
Right. Well, let's distill this to the two individuals who are involved. Should Sir Malcolm continue under these circumstances as chair of the potentially extraordinarily important, though as yet not yet, important Intelligence Committee that he chairs for Parliament?
Firstly, can I divide him from the role, John? I think this role is so important and gives such access to sensitive, top-secret information that, you know, outside interest should not be a consideration for anyone on that committee. And I hope that all the parties could come together this side of the election and put that right. I think Mr Rifkin is in a difficult position himself. He's clearly lost the confidence of his party because they've removed the whip from him. It seems incredible to me that under those circumstances he wouldn't consider resignation from that committee.
Well, now, let's get back then to this question of lobbying, because I think in a way you've got away fairly easily there, but surely your job is actually to bring together people who have interests in the community, be it manufacturing, be it anything else, and link them with an MP. Now, that may lead to a situation in which the MP earns money. You may not be paying the MP, but the company will pay you, and the company will then pay the MP.
Our association explicitly bans any payment by our members or on behalf of clients, and I think that's incredibly important. Now, the problem is, John,
pure influence.
The problem is that there is rogue behaviour out there, and the government's supposed solution to this,
How much
the Lobbying Act, I think that's, well, it's almost like a black market. It's almost impossible to say. The way you clear this up is by, firstly, timely declaration of ministerial meetings, and indeed a degree of declaration as to what those meetings are about.
But as Tom Watson has already said, the problem is MPs themselves rather than ministers who have a pretty tight leash.
And this is the point about the failed Government Lobbying Act, and the Government Lobbying Act doesn't even include MPs. That's exactly why these situations emerge.
Iain Anderson, Tom Watson, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.